Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise is brought to you in partnership with Drive Media and Consulting and their premier sponsors. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms and share. If you just found us, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Denise DiGrigoli has spent her life in the creative industries as an entrepreneur, helping people transform their visions into thriving businesses, working with individuals and teams to find their purpose and live their life vibrantly. On her pod, Denise delivers business intel and life hacks with wit and wisdom in short shots like a strong espresso with a solid sense of humor. Enjoy this episode of Mav's Coffee Clarity, and here's Mav.
Welcome, my friends. You're on another episode of Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise. Every week, we're spilling the beans on Maverick Wisdom. It's a show designed to move you forward in work, life, and self-care. And come on, who doesn't need that nowadays? Besides myself, I bring on fascinating people, small business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives, doers, forward thinkers that share their life's journey, their silver linings, how their fiascos move them forward here weekly. We film live in Sheffield, Mass, Fairfield, Connecticut, on location in Zoom. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite pods. And welcome to the show today, a very special Maverick, Laura Gratz. We're kind of looking through the mics.
Yeah.
Welcome. Hey. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Laura. I met Laura after we moved here to the Berkshires and we started our second location. She really is a maverick, okay? A transplant from New York, raised her children here.
Yep.
Now 3 decades in, you're well planted. Having been a school teacher, a board president
of the People's Pantry.
Yep. And she's the owner of Berkshire Organizing. And who doesn't need to be organized today, my friends? Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. I'm so thankful we could fit this in this weekend.
So fun. So fun.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey. I mean, you were a teacher that taught wood shop.
Oh, so great. I was a teacher who taught kindergarten and first grade. I was that kind of teacher.
And how did we get to wood shop?
Well, the wood shop teacher in this small private school, sort of where, you could sort of teach anything if you had the guts. He left and the head of school called me into his office and he said, I hear you have some skills in wood. And my dad was a metal worker.
You have skills in wood.
And I did. I took wood shop when I was a kid every year in my school. So yeah, and I'm not afraid of power tools. So he said, would you like to be the wood shop teacher? And I said, sure.
What year was this?
It was, I would say it was 2008.
So your Maverick wisdom had to have started before that, if you were confident enough with tools.
Yeah. I wasn't scared of tools because I grew up around, in a metal shop, there's a lot of scary tools in a metal shop.
Okay.
And
was that in Manhattan?
In Queens, actually.
Wow.
So my father had a big factory in Queens.
Yeah.
And they made metal furniture and sculpture. And then this is a fun story. Joe Pilates himself came to America.
Yes, we know Joe Pilates.
And he said, this is the man who's going to make my equipment in America. Donald Gratz, my dad.
Wow.
And my dad helped design the Cadillac, the Reformer, and then was the only
This is a special
fabricator.
bean I wasn't even aware of for today.
Yeah, how do you like
that?
My family history. And then to this day, my dad's passed away over 20 years, but the company now still makes incredible Pilates equipment, Gratz Pilates. It's the number one. If you could ask any Pilates person listening, they know the name.
Texas and I was on a Reformer. Isn't that something? That's incredible.
My dad was friends with Pilates and also with this woman, Romana, who was like Pilates disciple in America. She was the person that he said, you can teach my method here in America. And so and she taught her daughter and granddaughter, and they have a studio still in New York.
Incredible. So you grew up in Queens.
I grew up in Manhattan.
But the shop was in Queens.
Yep.
Okay, tell me about growing up in Manhattan.
I loved it.
Are you an only child?
No, I have a little sister.
You have a little sister.
But growing up in the city was great. Born and bred, never going back is what I say. I loved it. I left for college, and I never really lived in the city as a grown-up. But when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was a crazy, gritty,
That's a gritty time in the
weird
city.
place. But we survived, and we survived such crazy stuff. My kids don't even believe it. And my oldest.
What's the craziest thing you survived? Can we say it on the
my
pod?
God.
And just so you know, friends, we're unedited. So if she burps or spills extra beans, it is what it is. All right.
No, nothing like that. It's just like I did super stupid things like take the subway alone at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, crazy.
Just really dumb things. We went to clubs, Studio 54. I did that as a high schooler. Put on a ton of makeup.
Did you stand in line and wait to get selected?
Oh, we did.
And be like,
No, we had passes. They would give out these special passes at our high school. How gross is that?
Wow, special passes.
Every Wednesday, there were certain kids that would have passes to give out, and they were distributed to the high schools by these promoters.
To get the young blood
to
in.
the private high schools, and they were to Danceteria and Limelight, and they
Webster
got
Hall.
you in, and they were sort of like a private pass. Crazy. It's gross. No,
No,
we would
no,
call
I
that
went to
something really else today, wouldn't we?
I shouldn't be laughing, but it's kind of it's gross and kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, I was at FIT in the early 80s, and so we would get decked out and wait in line and wait to get selected. Sometimes we'd have those special passes, but I think they were reserving them for the private high schools based on
know.
So you were a dance crazy like me.
Yeah.
How did you get up here to the Berkshires?
So after college, my now ex-husband and I, we moved around a lot and did grad school and all that. And we were living in Hanover, New Hampshire. And
ooh, that's a polar.
Yeah. And
change.
He's a landscape architect. We wanted to come somewhere that he could start a business. And my parents had a house over in Columbia County, which is just across the border here in the Berkshires.
Close, yes.
And we came and settled 30 years ago in Housatonic and raised 3 kids. I had 1 kid when I moved here, 2 more after that. They're all now fledged. And
Fledged like birds.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
They
I love it.
They're very well fledged.
I know.
And I love the Berkshires. I mean,
I'm going to tell you what I love about it, but it's more about you. What do you love about it?
I love the nature. I love the people. I mean, people are so friendly here, and
and truly creative.
Yeah, people are interesting, creative, intelligent,
easygoing, helpful,
and it's not like nobody dresses up for anything. Well, nobody, they say that the uniform of the Berkshires is what's lying on the floor that you took off the night before and you just put it back on.
So true. Well, I suited up for you today.
Well, I'm wearing my fancy pants.
Your fancy pants are good. She has, for those of you that aren't on YouTube, these gorgeous embroidered pants with it looks like Asian roses.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Not jeans.
Jeans, yes. Well, we don't care what you wear here.
I love the Berkshires for that. I love the Berkshires, just the small town. I mean, growing up in the cities, I loved that experience, but I love living in a small town. I love knowing all my neighbors.
How do the kids feel?
My kids loved growing up here. Yeah. I mean, I think they wouldn't mind living here.
And you were a school teacher here, correct?
I was, elementary.
Uh-huh. And then how did you transition out of that into organizing, which is such a fascinating concept?
Well, I've been doing this organizing thing just in general in my whole life.
You're like a mass
I'm
organizer?
the one that loves to open a junk drawer and even as a kid, like Saturday, let's clean out all I love doing that.
Are you a junk collector?
No.
No.
But my mother is.
Said no. She's breaking out.
Hopefully she's not.
Hopefully she might not listen to that part.
Yeah, no, there's a reason I'm not, I don't have nothing, but I don't like having a lot of things around.
And did that come from just naturally growing up? That's how you were? Or did something happen that became apparent?
There's a lot of stuff around. My mom's house, she's still alive. She's a collector of things. But I always liked to help people clean out. I would help relatives or whatever. And then I had a few years after I was teaching where I worked for various nonprofits, and I loved that. I worked for Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative.
What did you do there? That's a great organization.
It's a great organization. And what we did is economic development, trying to get movies to come shoot in the Berkshires and then train people to work on these movies. And it really brings a lot of money and dollars that continue well after, with the after effect of a movie being shot
Sort
there.
of a halo effect.
Yeah,
right.
it's great. And so I did a lot of networking events I would run, and we did a lot of great stuff. And my friend Diane runs it, and she's still running it. And she's trying to get a film studio built in the Berkshires. That was a big thing. We were sort of working on that. Not done yet. And then I worked for St. James Place, which is the big nonprofit art center in Great Barrington, which is where the People's Pantry that I am the president of the board is, in the basement of that building.
So how did you get over from one nonprofit to, I know St. James is fabulous, but how did you become the board president at the People's Pantry?
I just lucky.
Lucky.
No, I've always been a volunteer my whole life.
So this is an important concept for you.
Yes,
you need to work
give
and you
back
need to
the
give
community.
back. Okay.
Always, I'm always the one who
Is that
says
something
yes.
you were taught, or is it just part of who you are? And
I
did
guess
you
I
teach
was.
it to your
My
kids?
parents were very active. My kids were, yeah. It was part of our ethics.
Part of your makeup. It
Yeah.
was part of the ingredients. Yeah.
Do right and do, volunteer work. In college I did. In high school I did. Different, whether it was at a museum or I'm trying to think, or Planned Parenthood or something like that.
What's the fondest volunteer work that comes to mind to you?
Oh, gosh.
Like, what's the best experience? Or maybe I should say the hardest.
Well, I really love working at the pantry, and I've been doing it now. I've been a volunteer there for the last 6 or 7 years, pretty much every Monday. And seeing the changes over the pandemic, and it's been hard. Like, we had to figure out how to hand out food when, with masks on and outside, and rework it all. And it's been really rewarding because I know a lot of these people, and I
remember when I met you, and first of all, yes, your sort of signature business card is that very warm smile where you make everybody feel welcome. And when you told me you worked at the People's Pantry, I was like, we have food insecurity here? Right. And I didn't mean to sound ignorant in any way, but
people say that a lot.
You think of the Berkshires as having the natives and of affluent community. And I grew up here, and we ate out of a garden. And even though we were of modest means, we never had food insecurity. So I was really enamored when I heard what the People's Pantry do. And we're going to get to that towards a little later in the segment. But out of all the volunteerism work that you did, what do you find is the most challenging? And do you select the charity, or does this charity select you? Like, does it come to you?
Oh, well, no, I think I have to feel passionate about something to give my time to it.
So, but does it find you?
Sometimes. I mean, like St. James Place, they came looking to me through my friend Liana, who Liana Tuscanino, who's the greatest. So she runs a nonprofit center, the Berkshires.
She has many nonprofits.
And she is like a clearinghouse. And somebody came to her, the people, and they said, we need someone. And she goes, oh, Laura's the person for you. That's how I got that job.
That's how you got that.
And a lot of that, it's a small town again.
Right. And it's people. So now you're doing that. Tell me how you got started with Berkshire Organizing.
Yeah.
Formally. How did you make it a business?
In between those things, I had a job which was for working for some other people. I'm not going to say a lot about it because actually I think I am not allowed. But it was a terrible, terrible situation. And the people were really mean. And I had never had that before. I was like, oh, this is a real job, like with a salary. And, it's not a nonprofit. And the people were awful.
Well, sometimes you learn the most from your worst boss.
Oh, my God. And I had this breakdown at the liquor store of all places, Domaney's, which is the greatest liquor store. And I was buying, I had to run events for this company. And I was buying a lot of alcohol, and I'd spent about a half hour with the guys there, and I know them.
Yeah.
And they're ringing it up, and I'm reading an email on my phone, and I just burst out crying because these people were so mean to me. They were just awful. And all the guys at the liquor store came around, and they're like, you have to quit this job. and you have to tell them it's their fault, not your fault. And da-da-da. And I was like, you're right. And I made up my mind to quit the job, and they fired me like a week later, which was great because unemployment, whatever. And so I had some time to think, like, what in the world do I want to do? And I said, I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to run my own business. And that's how I did it.
And so when you started your own business, there's a lot to learn about starting a business.
Yes.
What was the biggest thing that you had to do? What was the biggest hurdle as a business owner?
I think the first, like, actually asking someone to pay me money for what I did.
Oh, it's hard to ask for the money.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
You know, a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
In my client work, I see that all the time. People that they don't know. But now I'm wondering if your dad was famous with the Pilates reform, or you grew up in family business.
Yeah, but still, it's like, I even today struggle with that. Like, I have clients who will be like, oh, I can't really afford it. And I'm like, oh, well, but the truth is, like, I need to value my time.
Absolutely, you need
and
to
my
value
expertise,
your time.
And then I have clients who I had a new client, and I do these 3-hour sessions, and she said, how much is that? And she's like, can I give you double that? And I
have a funny feeling I might know what client that is.
And I said, no, I don't think but you could have me back. And that would be great, you know.
For our listeners, because, you know, this is like coffee with a friend, and we don't dispel advice. We hope that they listen in to our coffee clutch and they pull one thing that resonates with them that helps them move forward. So now, and this is a resounding theme in my work, people don't like to ask for the money. They don't feel worthy to charge what they're worth. How have you gotten around that?
I have gotten around it by friends being very supportive and saying, you are worth more. I have a couple of dear friends who are like, and I've raised my rates a little bit over there. I'm like, I'm thinking about raising my rates. And they're like, you definitely have to do it. You should charge double that, you know, all of that. And I think it's that kind of support. And clients, even I have clients who think I should raise my rates and charge them more. Now, I probably wouldn't if they're a regular client who I've been working with for years. But
and how do you grow your business? How do you get new clients?
It has to be
word of
mouth.
You're self-employed and sustaining yourself, right?
Yeah, but I can't advertise. Well, I could advertise. I don't love it because I don't advertise because people need to be motivated. Because I got to be in their stuff, helping them throw things away.
You got to touch some personal stuff,
or organize it, or whatever it is that I do for people. Because I do a lot of different things. Organizing means a lot of different things for different people, and they have to trust me. And yeah, so I can't. They have to be motivated. They have to come to me. Do you know what I mean? So people find me online, and I have a minute.
So if I need an organizer, whether I'm just need to organize my checkbook or my linen closet, and I know I need that, I would probably ask for a referral to one of my friends.
But you're not going to look at an ad and say, oh, organizing, I need that. Everyone does need it already, right?
Why do we need so much organizing?
Because we all have too much stuff.
Why do we have too much stuff?
I don't know.
You know, I have a 1950s cape in Connecticut, and the closets are this big. Yeah. I mean, they're like 2 feet wide, right? In the 50s, we didn't need all this stuff. And now we need all this stuff, and we need storage, and we need bigger houses, and we need organizers.
Need is a really weird word. We don't need.
No, we don't.
We have it.
Right.
We
desire
need it.
My grandmother used to say that all the time. Is it a need, want, or desire?
Right.
Right.
And like, there's a lot of gimmicky, like Marie Kondo-y kind of people with declutter. Yeah. Like, I don't do that.
No.
But I get it. People need help, and not everybody can have someone come and sit next to them and hold their hand the way I do, and listen to the story about this coffee cup that Aunt whoever gave you. And then
this is perfect.
Try to convince you that Aunt whoever does not care if you give it to the Goodwill or whoever.
What's the secret sauce? Because everybody listening, Mav needs this too. I have stories attached to some. You see, this house is very vintage, right?
Right.
And there's stories connected to things. And I am working through right now disconnecting because I'm wanting to purge. Not that I'm a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder, but I definitely am feeling like the stuff is on me heavy. So I'm your client now. How do you get me to see the value in letting go of the story connected to my aunt?
Well, I ask you to tell me the story. And I also keep it moving along because, while you're telling me this story about that, I'm going to ask you about these glasses also, right? I'm going to I'm going to keep you moving.
You're going to keep me moving.
A lot of times, like say a 50-something-year-old person will hire me to do this for their elderly parent who they don't want to listen to the stories, but they got to move them into assisted living or something. So I say, I love that story. Do you need to keep the mug? Do you need it? Are you going to use it?
You can keep the story, not the mug.
How many do you already have? And then also, if you're like, I can't do that. That's okay too. I back off. I'm not going to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get rid of it. I'm not like that. So I'll back off. I'm like, okay, well, let's put this aside. We can come back to it. You can always decide to give it away. You don't want to give it away. You're the boss.
So cool. That's actually good. I will tell myself, keep the story, not the thing.
Yeah, keep the story. Or tell someone the story. Tell these people the story.
Yeah. Oh, the stories. Well, some of the stories are that I have all these entertaining supplies from when Ava was younger, and we did a lot of entertaining at home, and they all have meanings connected to holidays or birthdays.
You can do a picture.
Do a picture, right, and get it gone.
Like for kids' art, which is hard to save a lot of your kids' art, like from preschool or whatever. You can take a picture of you can lay it out, take a picture of a whole bunch of little drawings that they did, and then you have it. And you don't have to have the actual paper.
Then I think too, at the end of my life, I've enjoyed all these photographs, and I had this with my father-in-law who passed away.
Photographs are hard.
And we have his World War II photographs and some things around that, but they sit in an attic in a binder. We look at them once.
Yeah. And
am I okay to throw them out?
Absolutely.
Berkshire Organizing?
Oh, I can absolve you of guilt. I'm a guilt absolver.
You are?
Yeah.
So you tell me when I go back to Connecticut, I can just throw it out?
You can. Or
what should I do with it?
You could ask your daughter. First, ask your daughter if she wants it, right?
Right.
That's first. And then if she doesn't want it, you can throw them out. You can pull out a few that you want to save. Is he a veteran? You could offer them to the VFW. If you feel like you want these pictures to go to someone else, there are things you can do. The hard part of convincing people is the things they think are worth money that aren't worth money.
Oh,
They're
gosh.
like,
everybody thinks
this is whatever.
A rare collectible.
It's gotta be. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. And they're like, this one's really, these people really want these. I'm like, Or I paid a lot of money for this. It's worth a lot of money. I'm like, you may have paid a lot of money for it, but I'm not in the business of selling stuff. So, but it's hard to convince people that their stuff isn't worth money.
Yeah, I know. My mother has a lot of things, and and someday when she gets around to it, hypothetically, she's going to sell it, and it's going to be the Antique Roadshow greatest thing.
Right?
So you're a business owner. You're seeing people all the time.
Uh-huh.
How do you keep your energy revived and upbeat? And what do you do? Because first of all, that's a lot of energy to spill out.
Oh, yeah, I'm high energy. I am high energy when I'm with clients. I hike.
Okay. You hike. Do you have a morning routine? Evening routine?
Morning is really, for me, morning is when I read.
Okay.
Because if I read at night, I fall asleep. I read The New Yorker or whatever. I like to read books, novels. And then I just get going. I wake up early. So I get a lot done in the hours between, say, 6:30 and 9 when I have my first client.
So is your resting energetic right just happy, fluffy, and fabulous like it seems?
I'm pretty glass half full kind of person.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I want to hear
I got yelled at for that the other day. I was in a situation with another woman. We were working for a client, putting stuff away. There was a blizzard and it was a truck full of stuff and we were trying to get it into this shed and it was crazy. Like we'd walk outside, it was with snow, and I go, well, at least it's not whatever. And she's like, could you just shut up and stop being so positive?
Wow.
And I was like, I'm really trying here because it is awful. So yes, I'm always positive to a fault.
Does that come from your background, your school teaching background? Again, resting rate.
I don't know.
Okay, I guess it's okay not to know. I do want to know the funny story that you let us know about before we started the show, where you had 3 young kids in Rome.
Oh, yeah. I had 3 kids. We lived in Rome for a year. It was a lot taking 3 young kids overseas for a year.
Was this for work or pleasure?
It was for my ex-husband, my now ex-husband, who's my husband then. He won an award. It's called the Rome Prize. So he won a year in Rome at the American Academy in Rome. And there were 16 fellows there at the same time, and you could bring your family. So we were fellow travelers, we were called. We were literally put up in a mansion in the highest hill in Rome on the top of the Janicolo. And it was so incredible. Incredible. And so my kids went to school there. My youngest, it was her first school experience, Stella. It was preschool. And all I had to do all day was like walk out the door and explore Rome. It was the most incredible. I mean, I went in every church, I got on every bus. And I fell in love with that city. And, corralling 3 kids. And it was great, though. My kids love museums because I love museums. My kids love art. My oldest was a classics major because of that year. They all love traveling. They all love Italy.
I love Italy.
Who doesn't
too.
love
I want to
Italy?
get back to Italy. When you came home, what did everyone do? Just go to regular school here in America?
Yeah.
Did you go back to work?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I was working. What was I doing? Because I had been a stay-at-home mom for a number of years, and I wasn't working then. I started back working when we got home from Rome because the kids were a little older then.
So let me ask you this. What is the best piece of advice, I should actually say the worst piece of advice you've ever received that you're glad you did not accept?
Ooh. Okay, well, again, glad she's not listening.
Yeah,
my
she's
mother
definitely not listening.
She's not. No, my mother wanted me to go to Europe in my junior year of college because that's what people do. They go abroad, junior year abroad.
I know, everyone abroad.
And I instead went to Big Bend National Park in West Texas with my boyfriend, who became my husband, is now the father of my children. And we lived in the desert. We were rangers through like a domestic Peace Corps kind of thing. And the idea of being in the West Texas desert instead of Paris, my parents could have no idea about. They're like, what? They were so angry about that. They tried to force me to go to Paris or wherever in Europe I would have gone. And and I didn't. I stood my ground.
And how'd that shape you going forward?
Well, I have such great memories of that time in Texas. I imagine that I maybe wouldn't have married that guy and had those 3 kids. And I mean, I'm divorced now, but I don't regret any of that. So, I'm glad I didn't listen to them.
And what's the greatest thing that people know you for? Here, New York, Texas, doesn't matter.
Oh, gosh. I guess, I don't know. I think it's my kids. People love my kids. And they're great kids.
Good energy.
Yeah.
Good energy all around.
They're like, oh, you have such great kids. I'm like, yes, I do.
So before we jump on to, I think you have a couple of events coming up.
We have a great event coming
I just want to take a quick beeline here. This show is being sponsored by Mary Elizabeth Fine Art. And what we love about Mary Elizabeth is her art is abstract. It creates a mood. It creates an environment. It is designed to inspire you. And we're thankful for her sponsorship. And you can find out more about her and visit her website in the show notes. Oh. And back to my friend, Laura Gratz, who is the board president of the People's Pantry. And it was through the education, and when I became a member of the chamber and meeting you, that I found out how important this was. And you have an upcoming event that's being sponsored by Troy Fine Art Services.
Yes.
Tell us about that event and any other events you have coming up going on this summer.
Okay, well, this one is the big one, as you know, and it's coming up on on Sunday, May 4th at 1 p.m. at Dewey Hall in Sheffield. Denise is going to be there. And
I will
Troy,
be there.
And maybe guest appearance by
Yes, we have
Milo.
our little guest appearance by Milo Bear, our new little baby puppy.
And it's going to be so great. It's totally to benefit the People's Pantry. And when
All
I
funds
met
go.
Troy and Denise at the chamber, they were like, what can we do to help you feed people? And I was like, well, we need what do you need? And I said, well, we need money.
Money.
And
We need money.
We need money to buy food. It's very simple.
But people donate food as well, right?
People donate food as well, but the dollars go so much further
Yeah.
when we can use the dollars at the food bank or wherever
Right.
it is. And so we planned this event to raise money for the People's Pantry. We have sold some tickets, and anything is all going to go to the People's Pantry.
Every bit of
Tickets
every
are
ticket
only
sale.
$25. It's like amazing.
It's an afternoon. I think it's 1 to 3.
1 to
Dewey
3.
Hall, 137 Main Street. And I think
Sheffield.
you're going to be offering some goodies for purchase.
We have a lot of baked goods for a donation. I myself am baking, and I am known for my baked goods. We'll have T-shirts. And the best part is when you buy your ticket, you can, if you want, you can submit an oil painting that Troy will. Maybe yours will be selected you can bring it to the event. He will talk about your painting, the history of it, maybe how it was framed. I have heard him talk about art, and it's incredible. I mean, if you just even like art a little bit, you will learn. It's like having a whole art history lecture.
It is. And you don't have to bring a painting to come and buy a ticket and enjoy, but you can also submit a painting. If you go to the peoplespantry.org,
peoplespantrygb.org.
People's Pantry GB, and we will put this in the show notes, .org. You can sign up, reserve your spot, submit a painting, and we will see you rain or shine.
Next week. I'm just so excited about it. I'm excited to have it at Dewey Hall. And the Chamber is such a great partner for People's Pantry, for you. We're all Chamber members, and us, and Dewey
and a big
Hall
shout
is
out
a chamber.
to the Chamber. I mean, the Southern
love it.
Berkshire Chamber and
Yay.
Betsy and Rachel and her team just do phenomenal things for the community. It's probably one of the best chambers I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh, I've never experienced another chamber.
Ah, okay. So,
but this one's pretty great.
as we wrap up, what's the last one piece of Maverick wisdom, business intel, a life hack you want to leave our audience with that's signature to Laura Gratz?
Okay.
Grazie.
Grazie. I guess I always say the answer is always no unless you ask.
I
Just
love
ask.
it. The answer is always no unless you ask.
Unless you ask.
Right.
Right?
You miss 100%
you never
of the
know.
shots you don't
Exactly. That's the same thing. So just ask. What's the
ask.
worst that can happen? No. Is
What's
the worst that could happen?
It has been an incredible afternoon
Fun.
with you. I'm so glad we had a little more time to spend together. And you can learn more about Laura and her business at Berkshire.
And come to the event.
Oh, yeah. You must come to the event.
You must.
Meet her in person. Visit her website in advance, berkshireorganizing.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Berkshire
Peace
Organizing.
out, my friends. Mav and Laura have got to get back to work. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite pods: Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeart, and of course, YouTube. Visit Denise DiGregoli for more information on my consulting services and to submit your questions. Okay, peace out. Thank you again, my friends. Hey, that's a wrap for today, my friends. Thanks for listening, subscribing, and staying connected with me. Head on over to DeniseDiGregoli.com and learn a little bit more about my creative and strategic consulting services. While you're there, drop your name on the contact page. Sign up for my bi-weekly brew. It's fresh ideas delivered to your inbox a couple times a month for clarity, creativity, and better communication. It's based on my 3 decades as an entrepreneur, helping other people and businesses move forward. It's great business intel and life hacks that you can use for work, life, and self-care. And come on, who doesn't need that nowadays? Have a great rest of your day. Peace out, my friends. Mav has got to get back to work.